Hey friends, welcome back to Bible Fun with the Duns. This is Fall Break Edition. Today we read Ezra chapter 6, and I guess you're going to start.
Yeah, I will. Whenever you read through chapter number 6, what you're noticing is, first of all, you're noticing Mississippi roads that have a certain kind of bounce to them. You're also noticing that this is a chapter about the reversal of fortune. So like when the bad guys come in and they stop, they thwart, they tear down all the work that the Jewish people have been doing. And they also send this letter to the king trying to really tattle on them about them rebuilding. And the king searches out and finds that this is in fact a law from Cyrus that now Darius is reaffirming. And he tells the same guys that were mad at these Jewish people that now not only do they need to not get in their way, but they have to use the tax money to give them whatever they want to. Remember back in the letter too, where they were like, hey, and we've included the names of the bad guys who are telling the Jews to keep building. And so, but in the letter back, the king calls them by name and says, you better leave them alone. As a matter of fact, you get a kind of a hint of the Persian side of it. Remember the story of Esther and how when Haman is mad at Mordecai and he builds the gallows at his house and he wants to hang Mordecai from it. And then by the end of the story, it's Haman that's hung on the gallows instead of Mordecai. The king himself says, look, he says, whoever messes with these people and keeps them from building this temple and praying to God for me and my sons, I'm going to take out a piece of wood from your own house, and your own house is going to be what I kill you with.
Eek.
I mean, this is a reversal of fortune, so that what looked to be bad actually now turns out for better. Now, if you had probably gone to the Jewish people, they were probably in disarray and really struggling over all of this. But the Lord works it together for good. And I want to talk to you about their attitude afterwards. But Jen's got something important.
So, talking about reversal of fortune, they go from being gung-ho, ready to rebuild everything, even starting, and all of that coming to a halt, like them being forced to quit. And it wasn't like a short amount of time. Different commentaries say different times, but it was at least 10 years between them building and having to stop. And yesterday, and with my small group, and Dusty and I, we talked about just how those leaders must have felt, how those guys who knew that they thought that God called them there, told them to rebuild the things, lead the exiles there, and work on that mission, and then it didn't work out. And how they must have felt. Like, I personally, as a human, would have been like questioning things, like, did I mishear God? Did I hear correctly? If so, why didn't it happen? And then what we see 10 plus years later is that God, yes, that was part of God's plan, but his timing didn't look the same as what they thought. The way in which it came about didn't look what their human minds thought, which is everything in my life. And so God worked it out to where they are being provided for. They're being protected. Everything I put in my Bible, in this part of the scripture, I put Ephesians 3:20, and it talks about how God gives you exceedingly abundantly more than you could ever ask or imagine. And that is how he works. Does that mean we don't go through that time of confusion or questions or doubts or struggles 10 years before that when things don't look the same? No. But you can trust in God's character. It may not look the way you think, it may not be on your own timeline, but God is faithful and he's good. And so I just couldn't help but think the character that must have been developed in these people over that time. I admire them, I guess that's a good word, for their obedience and their faithfulness to God, to follow him and to keep following him, even when things didn't look that way. And so today we see the fruit of their obedience. All these leaders were doing what God called them to, and what what Dustin and I talked about yesterday, some people are the seed planter, some people are the waterer, some people are the harvester. All of us want to kind of be the harvester. We want to see the fruit of what we do for the Lord. But honestly, most of the time, that's not our jobs. It's just a small percentage of people that get to see that. Maybe sometimes we see that, but then most of the time we're the waterer, or most of the time we're the seed planter. And so I just love that picture of what it is to walk with God, what it is to be a follower of the way, and how that can look.
Yeah. So at the end of the story, there's now a new celebration, and it ends with joy, where God has taken care of everything. They thought they were going there to build a temple. What they didn't recognize is that in the process of building a temple, God was going to be building their character. And so at the end of the story, they're going to have their temple, but now they're also going to have joy. And their joy did not come through the fact that everything was easy. As a matter of fact, everything was hard. Everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong. From their failure to their enemies' troubles to their lack of just willingness to kind of get it done. They thought the process was about building a new building. But in reality, this was about God building his people by taking them through the process of building the building. So listen, what if you in your life today, you find yourself in a difficult position, okay? And what you would like is to be at the end of the process. You want it fixed, you want it over, you want it great, you want it joyful. What if, though, it's not time for that? What if you're still at the front end of the process where God's got to teach you that he is enough, he's going to take care of it, and he's got you? But in the process of it all, you're going to get eventually at the end maybe what you wanted. Maybe you will only when you get to heaven. I don't know. But what if the process is more important than the actual project?
What if the process is the point?
The process is the point. So this is when they end with joy. Well, of course they're ending with joy because they're learning not just about that God's going to give them their new temple. It's that God is going to give them his presence in the process. So that's what I think we can get from the chapter today. Hope you have a wonderful day. We'll still be on the road tomorrow, so we'll see you then too. All right?
Bye.